I have to work opposite Clint again? I said, stupid me. He said, why can't I work with Eric Fleming? You're too young. You're going to work with Clint. I said, oh, okay. And I was so disappointed. I don't know, but you know, he just didn't give me anything in the scene. He'd say, I love working with you. You do all the work.
Our guest is Karen Sharpe Kramer. Well, you did so much great television, especially, it seems like all of the Westerns you must have appeared in.
About 40 of them, yes, I did, and some of them more than twice.
But you were a regular the first part of the season on Johnny Ringo that was created and produced by Aaron Spelling, one of his very first shows.
It was his first.
How did you meet Aaron Spelling?
Well, after I did one little film for Ida Lupino. Remember Ida Lupino? She was a wonderful actress. She became a director, and her husband, Collier Young, produced a film called Mad at the World. And I was the young star in it. And every day when I go to lunch, I was always eating with the crew. I'd see this guy, this little funny-looking, wide-eyed big guy over in the corner by himself. And I kept thinking, why is he by himself? You know, it's not right. Must be a very lonely person, you know, it's not right. So I went over and introduced myself and said, would you like to come and have lunch with me? And he said, oh, I can't do that, you're a star. I said, that's ridiculous. I said, we're all working, I don't buy that for 1 minute. I said, where are you from? He said, Texas. I said, oh, me too. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, born and raised. And I said, and I see you have a wedding ring, are you married? He said, yes. I said, well, what does she do? And he said, well, she's an actress. And I said, well, great. Is she working? No.
And this was Carolyn Jones he was married to.
So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said, you know, I get a lot of offers, and I can't do everything. So give me your number, and when I get an offer, I'll call you, get her on it. Does she have an agent? Yes. I said, oh, that's great. I said, let's get her on it. So I did that, and she did damn well, didn't she? Anyway, so didn't even need me, I don't think. But so several years go by, and I get a call from CBS. And they said, Karen, we've had a request for you to star in a television series. I said, is it going to be a Western? And he said, yes, it's Aaron Spelling. And I said, And I said, sounds so familiar, that name. He said, well, you've met him. I said, I have. He said, this is his very first thing. I said, his first thing? And he said, yes, and he wants you. I said, he does. And he said, yes, because he said that you were so nice to him on a film that you were starring in, and he had a very small part. And you made him have lunch with you, and you helped his wife get work. And so he wanted to pay you back in a lovely way. I said, that's so sweet. I'm in. I'll do it. Absolutely.
More killing. Won't prove anything.
I understand. Well, you just pack up and go. But somebody's gonna die. Of course, you don't have to be around when that happens. Maybe that somebody is your friend. I guess maybe he just thought you were man enough when he gave you that badge to wear. What's the difference? Because you're gonna close your eyes and there's not gonna be any more killing in this whole world. Isn't that right, Cully? You go on and get out. You let Johnny face the washers alone.
So I did. That's the Aaron Spelling story, and it was his first show. It wasn't a successful Western, I don't think. I did him the favor for the first year, and then I really wanted to get out of it. I wanted to play her as a tomboy. I didn't want to be a pretty little thing in town, you know, seeing him once in a while. It's not my kind of thing. But anyway, he did all right, didn't he?
Yes, he did. You know, that was such an interesting show because Don Durant, who was the lead, had a 6-gun with a shotgun shell on it as well. And this was a gimmick for the lead of the show where you'd see the bad guy, they're counting shots, and they never counted shots in Westerns. So he's shooting at him 6 times, and then like James Coburn gets up and goes, he's out of bullets. And then the hero blows him away with a shotgun shell, you know? It's like so strange in that show. But that's when all of the Westerns had to have a gimmick weapon.
Yes, yeah.
And that was his. One of my favorite roles that you did is in one of my favorite shows, Gunsmoke.
Oh, yeah, it was a great show.
You played this impetuous young woman who liked to get men arguing over you and then killing each other.
Yeah, great role.
You know, is that the sort of tomboy role you were looking for?
No, I didn't know, but I love to play bad girls. They're more interesting, you know.
No, that was what was it like? That was the half-hour Gunsmoke.
I think it was in black and white.
Yes, the best ones, I think, too.
I did a couple of them I liked.
John Meston wrote the script on that, too.
Yeah. And James Arness I already knew. You know, that was a show that was offered to Duke Wayne, actually. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. And they put James in it instead. And he was great. I sometimes watch those shows on television now.
I think Andy McLaughlin directed that episode.
He did direct it, yes. Yeah. I have a great relationship I did with Andy McLaughlin, and I'm very grateful to him. Mm-hmm. So, and then I did another one called Drywell, which I also like, where Burt Reynolds was kind of starting his career, and he had a part in it, an ongoing role.
Mm-hmm. He was Quint.
Yeah, that's right, he was. And so I didn't work opposite him.
They threw him down a dry well.
That's it.
And he's waiting a lot of tension in that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Played a bad girl in that one, too.
Well, the bad girls, I guess, were the most fun.
They're the best roles, yes, exactly.
I know it's a long time ago, you probably don't remember much, but I loved growing up Jock Mahoney. He was the range rider, he was Yancey Derringer, and
he was a stunt man.
The most amazing thing, in the episode you're in, he gets on his horse a different way each time, and you think he's just like springing. His legs were giant springs. He stands next to his horse, and all of a sudden, he's on top of it.
He was tall, too, you know, it didn't hurt.
And good looking.
Oh, very good. He was a very nice man. I think I worked with him twice. And he was a gentleman. You know, people always say, did you get a chance to know people really well? Well, you're so busy working and just try to do your part. You don't get a chance to have, you know, really long relationships with a lot of the people you work with. You wish you did have time for, but you don't always. But I remember him being very lovely and very lovely to me.
Well, that's great to hear because he's everybody's favorite, too.
Is he? Well, I'm glad. He deserved to be.
He was a Tarzan later on, too. You could have been Tarzan and the Jungle Girl.
Well, no, we had Boy from the original Tarzan, who was a teenager at the time. And those films were really directed by Ford Beebe, you know, who really was part of the animal kingdom and knew so much about animals. And it was shot in like 10 days. You know, we made
10 days, that's a long shoot for those.
Well, I thought that was pretty quick. But it was, you know.
And you were on like a sound stage with jungle stock footage that you'd look at.
Well, no, we were really in Pasadena, in some kind of.
The jungles of Pasadena?
Yeah, it was really the jungles of Pasadena in some kind of a park thing. It was really, it wasn't on sound stage. Gunsmoke was on a soundstage most of the time. But
well, you also worked with Clint Eastwood a couple of times on Rawhide.
I did, and I had a terrible crush on Eric Fleming, who played Boss.
Gil Favor.
And yeah, oh God, I had a terrible crush on him. And so Clint and I had the same agent. We were at William Morris. And I said, I have to work opposite Clint again? I said, stupid me. Anyway, he said, why can't I work with Eric Fleming? You're too young. You're gonna work with Clint. I said, oh, okay. And I was so disappointed. I don't know, but you know, he just didn't give me anything in the scene. He'd say, I love working with you. You do all the work. But you know, it's true. I would say, react, you know. But then it was always on the screen. So sometimes you're not sure that the other actor opposite you is doing pretty good work. I was very complaining about him all the time. I was pretty stupid to complain, wasn't I? Anyway, he was great. He was very sweet. He's still the same old Clint today. He always sees me. He's wonderful, and he's so successful, and he's become such a great director.
He surely is, yeah.
Yeah.
The episode you were in, you're one of 3 daughters that Victor Jory has, and he's trying to marry all 3 of the daughters off.
Yes.
And and he hooks you up with Clint.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying, where's the trail boss?
Well, I tried. I couldn't get him to marry me in that episode either. So anyway.
You did a TRACKDOwn also with Robert Culp.
Yes, I've never have seen that. You know, at that time, and if you were working, and luckily a lot of us were working, and we'd sometimes not get home until 9 or 10 o'clock, and if a show was on at 7 or 8, you had no way of actually taping them, so you'd miss it. It's on Saturday mornings now.
I think right now, the time that we're living in with the proliferation of all of these multiple channels, this is the golden age of television.
It is.
At least the golden age of classic television.
Well, you know, the business has gotten to be such a huge business. Too much product. You don't get a chance to see everything. I'm a judge for the Emmys I've been several times, and I can't tell you how many box sets I get. I could fill this whole auditorium with that many, and am I going to be able to see all that? I don't know how you sustain a career like we used to, because the business was a smaller business, and you got a chance to know everybody, and you could actually be seen. Your work could be seen. Today, it's very hard to be seen because you don't see the show. You know, no time to see all of that.
I know you mentioned to me that you're remaking or planning to remake High Noon.
Oh, yes,
Stanley
I am.
Kramer. How did you meet Stanley?
Oh, this is my favorite story to tell. Thank you for asking me. Okay. Jerry Lewis had asked me to be his leading lady several times. And I said, can I be funny? No. I said, no. I said, Jerry, you want me to be a straight man to you, right? He said, yes. I said, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to play those vacuous girls. I mean, I just don't know how to do that. But thank you for asking. So my father passed away unexpectedly, and I had to go back to Texas and settle the estate, and I was gone for about a year. When I came back, it's hard to get back into the business when you've been gone a year. He knew he had me. So he said, okay, I'm going to triple your salary. Edith Head will make all your clothes. You will have this. It was an offer I really couldn't refuse. So I said, thank you. I'd be thrilled.
Was this Disorderly Orderly?
It's Disorderly Orderly. So on the next soundstage across from where we were working was a film called Ship of Fools. And every day in the Paramount commissary, I would see this long table against the wall, and in would walk, you know, Oscar Werner, then Simone Signoret, and Jose Greco, and Lee Marvin, and then would come Vivian Lee, okay? Well, I couldn't, I kept watching that table, and that was that director, I couldn't think, what was his name, was there. So finally, I got enough courage to walk onto that set. Now, I've been in the business now 20-something years. I had never walked onto anybody's set. I stayed on my own set. I found it hard enough just to do what I'm doing. And I was not looking for another job because I usually had one waiting for me. But this particular time to see Vivian Lee work was a thrill to me. So I walked onto that set. You know, Stanley Kramer had that ship. You know, that whole ship was on that soundstage. I have never seen anything like that in my life. And yes, she was actually in rehearsal working. And I hear this voice, who is that? And I'm thinking, I'm in the water part of the ship. I'm thinking, it's me, and that's that director, what's his name? And I thought, I shouldn't be here. It's a closed set. So somebody took pity on me and went over and said to Mr. Kramer, that's Karen Sharpe. You know, okay, you can stay. Thank you, I said. I thought, so I left, okay? So a couple of days later, I'm walking to the commissary, and that guy who saved my butt that day said, Karen, he said, why didn't you stay? Because Stanley Kramer wanted to meet you. I said, oh, that's who that guy is. That's right. I said, well, why? Isn't this film cast? He said, well, I don't know if that's what he had in mind. I said, oh, well, I don't get involved with that, you know, I don't get involved. So a couple of days later, my manager comes to visit me on the set, and he says, Karen, I had a call from the Kramer office. I said, oh, is there a part in the film? He said, no, he wants to take you to dinner. I said, you've known me well enough to know I don't do that. I said, if he wants to see me, I will be happy to read for him over the desk, but I don't get involved with any of these people any other way. I said, you know that. He said, I do know that. A year later, Stanley's still calling. He finally says, my manager says, Karen, you take this phone call because I'm tired of tap dancing, make an excuse for you every once in a while, Mr. Kramer's office calls. I said, have him call me. Mr. Kramer, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm working. I never go out when I'm working. Well, can't you sew on a pair of blue jeans? I said, Mr. Kramer, I don't wear blue jeans. I said, well, he said, I'll call you next week. I said, fine. So I finally thought, well, I just kept. So I said, okay. I said, tell you what, I'm working at Republic Studios, and I said, I tell you what I'll do. I'll meet you at the tail of the cock. I can only give you 2 hours. I can meet you at 6 o'clock. And he said, oh, the tail of the cock in Beverly Hills. I said, no, in the Valley. It was dead silence. He said, you live in the Valley. I said, yes, Mr. Kramer, I do. And who could blame me for not wanting to come over that hill? I said, you know, I don't need dinner that badly. And then, no. He said, I'll be there. So we meet in the Valley at Tail of the Cock. And I spend the whole dinner. Oh, 8 o'clock, gotta go. So my manager says to me 2 days later, how did it go? I said, okay, here's how it went. I said, first of all, I'm never gonna work for this man. And I'll guarantee you, none of your clients are ever gonna work for this man because I was so rude, because I didn't wanna be there. I did you the favor, I got out of it, but I said, but I'm never gonna see this man again. I end up in the hospital with an appendix. It almost bursts. It's in all the newspapers, and so guess who calls me? Guess who sends flowers? Guess who says, when you come home, can I bring you dinner? And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this. So I asked my friend, Henry Wilcoxon. Mm-hmm. Henry Wilcoxon, he was a silent screen star. He was 75 years old at the time. He was one of my dear friends. He was Cecil B. DeMille's right-hand guy. Mm-hmm. I said, Henry, can you just do me a favor and drop in and accidentally, and I'll invite you in. You'll carry the evening because I don't want to be rude. But this hurts. I'm just not getting, I'm still trying to get over the operation. So he said, sure. Well, he comes. They bond like crazy. Now, Henry Wilcoxon was one of the greatest chefs. I learned everything I know about cooking from him. He was great, and he made a great dinner, and they bond like crazy. This went on 3 times, and bring Karen. So I would meet Mr. Kramer at Henry's, and I would sit there and listen to him talk. And I fell madly in love with him. And married him just about 3 months later. And the last show I did was A Wild Wild West that had been written for me opposite Carol O'Connor. I couldn't tell anybody that I was getting married because we wanted to keep it a secret from the press. But I knew that was my last line, my last scene, my last everything. And the next morning, Stanley and I went to Ventura County to get our license. And we were married at 4 o'clock that afternoon, and it hit the front page of the newspaper in spite of the fact we were keeping this a secret. And I never looked back. So that was my story of how I married Stanley Kramer.
Thank you, Karen, for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Keep the Western going. I've got High Noon, so I'm going to be knocking on some of your doors. Got a great script. It is going to be a Western. I'm not changing that. I've just made the characters more rich, more full. We know a lot more about them than we did in the original, and added some new characters to it. So I pray that it'll do well.
Thank you for sharing your memories. My name is Rob Word, and we love bringing these programs to you. We've got a lot more scheduled coming up. We post a new one every single week, and we want you to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching.